What really made me want to put this video out is that back in August with the whole Chadwick Boseman situation of him passing away with colon cancer. It's crazy how you never really know what's going on in someone's life. I'm just going to warn you guys now, this is going to be a very, very long video. So get your popcorn, get your snack, even a drink. Get a drink too. Yeah, matter of fact, with this whole 2020 situation, get a drink, pour out, get some Hennessy. So, this is like my long-awaited video of me going into detail and explain what I've been through and to kind of explain the elephant in the room as to why I talk like this. Because I've got a lot of comments where people have said, why do you sound so muffled? Is your microphone messed up? Is this, is that? And it's like, no. This is what I talk for right now, at least. So, let's start off with talking about 2019 in general. So, 2019, I remember it was in February. It was on a Sunday. I just got off from work, and in my mind, I was thinking about eating some food, because I like to eat. I don't know about y'all, but I like to eat. So, anytime food is in front of me, or if I feel some type of way, food always and all its hills makes the situation better for me. So I got up from work, and all I remember is that I was 2 minutes away from my house, and then bam, I got hit. And I don't know exactly how long I was out, but when I finally came into, I was like, wait a minute, was I just in an accident? And so I started like hearing like my car making like hissing noises, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I got outside the car, and once I got out, I realized, I was like, wow, yeah, I was in an accident. And so I looked at the front of my bumper of my car. It was messed up. And I'm going to insert pictures somewhere in this video so you guys can see as far as like what happened. Anyway, so I got out in the car, and I went to go check on the man to see if he was okay. And the man started like accusing me of hitting him and all this and that. And I was like, I had the right of way. I was going straight forward. You were the one that returned. You should have waited. So I was like, I'm not even going to argue back and forth with that. So I was calling the cops. So they come to the scene and they see the whole spiel. I found out that I had a little cut on my nose. Nothing that was really major, but I had a little cut on my nose, and I had lots of cuts and scrapes on my legs and on my hands. And I was like, wow. That happened so fast. And it's like when situations like that happen, it's like the life flashes before your eyes. And it's just amazing like how in certain moments, you never know when your life is going to end or when it's your time to go. And it's like when you think about those situations, doing something simple. Whether you're going grocery shopping, leaving home from work, going to work, shopping, whatever. You never know when that can be like the last moment, period. So it's crazy. Anyway, I ended up going to the hospital and ended up checking it out, and I was fine. I was a little shooken up as far as like the situation because I never got in an accident to like that magnitude. And Timothy could agree with me. The people have been in accidents. Once you're in an accident, you kind of really don't want to drive for a couple days, or if you go back to that same site where you got in the accident at, it triggers like memories of, wow, I actually got hit here. So, it was crazy. But after that happened, I was like, you know what, let me take a little bit more serious as far as like a stance, as far as like my health and just like my life in general. So, I ended up going to the defense one. I got my whole body checked out, and I ended up going to the dentist. So, I went to the dentist, and I believe this was in April. Once I went to the dentist, every time I go to a new dentist, they always check you in and check your teeth and all that good stuff. Well, anyway, the dentist seen a lump in my mouth, which I'll put that right here. And I've had this lump, I thought it was a lump, but I had this lump on my mouth for about almost 10 years, but it didn't enlarge until about maybe the beginning of 2019. The dentist told me that, well, I don't want to do anything to the mouth until I found out exactly what this is. So she asked me questions as far as like, was it harming me? Is it bothering me? All the little check mark list. So she sent me over to an oral specialist. So once I went to the oral specialist, this is like a couple weeks later. So this is in May. I went to the oral specialist and there's an biopsy of the lump in my mouth. And about 2 days later, I found out what it was, and I'm gonna put the word down here. But what it was a mucoid epidoid carcinoma. Now, when I first heard that word, I was like, huh? Like, what is that? So, she told me to come back in after I got my results, and she basically explained to me what it was. And so she said that she was gonna have to send me to an ear, nose, and throat specialist to kind of talk about what's the next step. About a couple weeks later, I found out that actually the tumor was very, very cancerous, hence the carcinoma, but it was very cancerous, and I found out I was at stage 2 of oral cancer. And I was like, wow. And I thought to myself, I was like, when you think of like oral cancer, you think of people who like smoke all the time, or people who just like produce a whole bunch of like nicotine or like bad fumes or bad gases, like stuff that can like mutate inside your mouth. And I was like, So it didn't hit me at that moment. So when I met up with my specialist, she basically gave me full detail as far as like what it was, and that it was a slow growing cancer. So me having this in my mouth for about 10 years and it not getting enlarged until about 2019, she told me it was a slow growing cancer. And so she had 2 options as far as like what I could do. Either I could keep it inside and have a chance of it potentially spreading, or either I could remove it outside of my mouth. And in my mind, I was like, well, I don't want it to spread, so let's get it removed out of our mouth. So I had to get more biopsies done. I had to get biopsy done in my lymph nodes. I had to get a biopsy done in my throat area. See if the cancer had spread into my throat and it spread into my brain. Now at that time, I got the results back and it spread anyway. So I was like, thank God. So the next step was setting up a mouthpiece. And basically with the mouthpiece, it was called an obturator, and I'll put a picture right here. But the obturator is basically to me like a dentist slash like retainer. And what it was supposed to do is that once I have the tumor removed out of my mouth, it was supposed to cover up the hole and make it easy for me to speak, easy for me to swallow, and easy for me to chew food. I met up with a prosthetist, and so she measured my mouth and got my mouth ready for my retainer piece or my obturator once I had the surgery. So I got that done, and fast forward, my whole summer was pretty much done. Summer 2019, didn't get to enjoy that at all. So, September 17th was the day of my tumor removal surgery. And with that, I couldn't eat anything for the whole day before, which I like to eat. So that was hard. And my surgery was at 9 that morning. Well, I got to the hospital and my doctor had another surgery that she was doing. So she didn't see me until about maybe, I'm gonna say about 1 o'clock that afternoon. Mind you, I hadn't eaten anything the whole day before. And then the actual day of my surgery, I didn't eat anything at all. So it was like, I know y'all feel me, we have those moments where you're hungry and you're angry. You have those hungry moments. I was so hungry and angry and frustrated and agitated. I was mad. I was big mad. So when I was in the hospital, 1 o'clock came and they finally called me back. And basically they had to prep me for the surgery, put some anesthesia inside my body, and they gave me some kind of like spray for my nose. And I took a Tylenol pill so my nose doesn't bleed, and so basically I don't gush out a whole bunch of blood. All I remember is that I was talking to the anesthesiologist and then I was out. And then I woke up. And so the nurse told me, alright, he was like, are you okay? Okay, like basically checking on me. And he told me that I had a whole bunch of fluid in my body, so I had to basically like piss it out. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. Everybody knows when you're under anesthesia, you really have no control of your body at all. So I was trying my hardest to pee. So they dragged me to my room, and the nurse told me, well, if you don't pee, he was like, I have to stick a catheter inside of you to make you pee. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this piss out. I've seen videos and pictures of like catheters. A little small tube can go inside your penis hole. No. So I was like, I'm gonna get this piss out. One way or another. My goal was to be in the hospital for about like 3 days, just in case anything happened to me as far as like my body's acting up or I didn't take well to the medication they gave me. At least I was in the hospital for them to check on me. So the first day was, imagine, I'm tall. I'm 6'2". And I know a lot of people look at my photos and they think, you look really short in your photos. No, I'm not short. I am 6'2". So, the hospital bed they had me in was really, really small. And that's right here is like right where the bed ends. And then my legs are right here. So my legs were hanging literally off the bed. So I asked them if they could get me another bed that I could fit on. Then they took me like this block mattress thing, and it was horrible. Like every 30 minutes, that mattress felt like deflating. And I was like, well damn, I know I'm not that big. Like, am I that fat? But it kept deflating. So every 30 minutes I had that going on, and then about every few hours, they had to come and check my vitals. So those whole 3 days I was in the hospital, I had no sleep. It was painful. My final test, and then they were going to allow me to go home, was that I had to do the swallow test. And I was like, that's easy. So the nurse gave me a cup of water. And I threw the water back like how I normally did. Water shot all out of my nose. And I was like, wow. Alright. And mind you, I was like so drugged up on medication. They had me on so many drugs. So it was like, I felt really nothing. I was so drugged up. I also tried to drink some water to tear on my nose again. And the drugs started wearing out a little bit. And so I didn't know that the obturator piece, or like the denture / retainer, they had wired it in my mouth. So I had this big plastic thing covering the whole of my mouth. And I'm going to show you a photo of how the plastic looked in my mouth. And then I'm going to show a photo right here somewhere as far as how the actual hole looked. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a challenge. So they told me, well, we can't let you go until you actually swallow something. So I was like, oh no. So they sent me to a speech pathologist, and so they had to give me, what was it, mashed potatoes, jello, and applesauce. And they put some kind of like powder substance in it. The powder substance was supposed to like show up on the screen they had me catty corner to, and it was to show the food actually going down my throat. The jello, I swallowed that down fine. The mashed potatoes, I swallowed that down fine. Just the applesauce. Because the applesauce had like little pieces, apples in it. I couldn't swallow that. That was hard. So I finally got sent home, and I was fine. Until about maybe 11 o'clock that night, I had got super overheated. I was hot. I was hot. I was hot, I was cold, I was hot, I was cold. And I was like, am I having hot flashes? I was like, is this how it feels to be a woman or menopause? I was so hot. And I went to the hospital again, and they told me I was dehydrated. And mind you, I didn't drink for that whole entire day because I wasn't thirsty at all. So I thought I was fine. But no, the doctor told me I was dehydrated, and so they hooked me up with an IV to put some fluid into my body. So at that point, I realized that, this is something serious. Mind you, the whole time period of me getting mentally prepared for all of this, I was like, this is not going to be that bad. It's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be that bad. Kind of downplayed the situation until actually what happened, and I seen that, wow, this is a huge change. So, for almost like 2 weeks, I was on a liquid diet. And then after the liquid diet, I went to actual soft food diet. And I was having like the hardest time trying to swallow food, trying to drink. And like, it was so hard. And mind you, when they did the surgery, the tumor was in my hard palate, and it kind of went to my throat a little bit. So they removed almost half of the roof of my mouth, along with some of my esophagus. So it was hard to swallow. Even with that obturator in, it was still hard to swallow because the food kept getting trapped behind the obturator on top. So I was like, this is such a pain, and this is a headache, and this is annoying. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna chug it through. So November came, and that was supposed to be the month where I was going to get my obturator taken out, and I was going to get my temporary obturator. And so my temporary one was what I could take in and out, rather than having to wire it in. When I'm going to sleep at night, I can take it out. When I'm ready to eat, I can put it back in. So I was like, okay, that's not going to be too bad. So they did my obturator, and it didn't fit. And the reason why it didn't fit is because I had 3 teeth removed on the back side of my mouth. So they had to readjust the obturator and put it inside my mouth to fit the extra tooth that was not supposed to be missing. Because I was told I was only going to have 2 teeth removed, but to make sure the tumor was completely taken out, they had to take at least 3 of my back teeth out on the top. So that happened. So pretty much from November up until like January of me learning January 2020, of me learning how to use that obturator, it was a headache. I kept putting it in, it kept falling out. I kept putting it in, it kept falling out. It kept breaking, and I was like, this is not benefiting me at all. Like, it's not changing my speech pattern, it's not helping me eat easier. So I was like, let me learn how to eat without this obturator. And so I struggled a little bit, but I ended up figuring out how to eat without it. Mind you, I can only chew on this side. So since I have no tooth on this side, and I have my tooth down here, but I have no sinus in this area, so therefore as far as I'm chewing, there's no pressure because there's no tooth here. So I can only chew on this side. So I had to learn how to do all that and then adjust it to swallowing and having that weird sensation of food touching my nasal cavity up here, which was a huge adjustment, but I got used to it. So after that, pretty much from the month of February up until July, I had to go back and forth to the doctor as far as like them treating me and treating me and treating me and treating me. So it was a headache. And what kept happening was that the little tumor, I had got worried that it was growing back. But it kept like popping up in the roof of my mouth, like little small fragments of it kept popping up. And so getting the treatment to get it burnt out and having this done, I got so tired of going to the doctor's office, and I got so tired of sitting there. Finally, after all that was done, the final step, if my body was cleared of cancer completely, I was going to have a chance to have reconstructive surgery. And with the reconstructive surgery, it was going to allow my speech to be a little better so I don't sound like this. And it was going to help me as far as like swallowing. So it was 2 options. Either I could get skin removed on my arm and put a flap inside my mouth, or either I could get bone removed from my back and then constructing the bone inside my mouth so I don't have this hole in my mouth, and so that I can speak and I can talk a little clearer and not sound as muffled. I got my CT scan and my PET scan towards the end of September, and I am cancer free. My results came back and there's no cancer cells in my body. And I am so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that. The next phase is just me pretty much waiting as far as like when they're going to schedule me for my surgery. Until that happens, I'll be talking about this for a while until I get my mouth fixed. But the main thing is that I am cancer free. Never know what someone's going through and what somebody's story is. And after the Chadwick situation, I was like, I kept my situation pretty much quiet. Only my immediate family knew for a whole entire year. And after that happened, I was like, let me share my story because hopefully me share my story can help someone out as far as like remaining positive. And we all have things that go on in life, and if you have the right support system and you have a positive mindset as far as like through the whole journey, you can get through it. You can. And I would say within this past year, it has been a very interesting year. And I've had people say, or people assume, that because I talk like this, either I'm deaf, which, if I'm having a full-on conversation with you, I'm sad to hear it, and I'm not deaf. I've had people thought that I had like a mental retardation, a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And it's like, at time periods, I was like, what, should I tell them to shut them up, or should I just play along what they're saying? And for the longest, I just like playing along what they're saying because I was like, I don't really feel like I have to explain my situation to anybody who is not, I'm never probably going to ever see them, because people are just nosy. But in a sense, I felt like that was a little selfish for me not telling my story and not telling my truth, because maybe my story could help someone. Maybe my story could change the way somebody may think about certain things, or just to reach out to someone who may be going through the same situation I am. I will do another video of me going through the process of getting prepped for my surgery and me actually going through my surgery and then after effects of my surgery. So, I will end the video off by saying this. As black people, and as a black man or just black men in general, we need to take our health super, super, super serious. And there's nothing wrong with going to the doctor. There's nothing wrong with getting checked up on. Like, there's nothing wrong with making sure that you're okay. Nothing wrong with making sure that you're okay. And it's like we have a lot of people within our community that just like die because they don't want to go to the doctor. And by the time that whatever they had takes effect over their body, going to the doctor or trying to get it healed, at that time it's a little too late. So I said that to say leave a message, just be proactive with your life and take care of your health. You only have one life to live, so it's like, why not live it to the fullest, and why not make sure that you're healthy and doing it? So, I'm gonna end the video. I know this was a long video, so if you managed to like stay all the way to the end of the video, thank you for sticking all the way to the end of me blabbering about all of this. But on that note, subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of content, like my video, share some of your health stories with me in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.